he wants to understand how can he save money and invest money with a quick turnaround.
With a quick turnaround, I don't know what a quick turnaround means, but that's not realistic. So there's very few ways for you to make meaningful amounts of money quickly if you're working with money. So if you go to the bank and you put it in a CD for a year, you earn higher interest than if you put it in a CD for a month. You don't just earn a higher dollar amount, you earn a higher interest rate. So that's the first thing is I don't have a good answer to that.
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to money, generally slower is better. And slower is more painful, requires more discipline, but that's part of why most people don't succeed, is because most people want it in a hurry. And those who can persist, those who can wait, will do better in the long run. So I would avoid any financial opportunity that starts with, makes any comments about speed. I would be very skeptical about that because I don't know. So I'll be completely honest with you. I mean, I've worked with, and talked to maybe a few hundred, not a lot of people, but a few hundred people, and who I have good visibility to where they got their money from, how they made it, how much of it was inherited, how much of it was a business, that sort of thing. And it always takes a while. And so if someone starts a business today and they're a millionaire in 5 years, you look closely and you realize it took them maybe 10 years to get to where they were when they started the business, right? Maybe they spent time in school or something else. So it always takes a while. That's just, the average millionaire is about 50 some years old. It always takes a while.
I think that's a great point. You know what I mean? I feel like in our millennial society, this McDonald's society, everybody's looking for a way to kind of get quick stuff. And it's almost impossible to do anything quick. Just as quick as it comes is as quick as it can go,
Yes.
And that's what we have to kind of.
I'll add one more thing. Some of it is about discipline, right? So just like you said, easy come, easy go. Sometimes when it comes fast, you don't have enough time to fully digest where it came from, why it came. And so it's very easy to be wrong about it. It's very easy to be wrong about if you normally make $50,000 a year and for whatever reason this year you make 100 or 150, it's very easy to be wrong about what actually made that happen. And so because we're all running this kind of scientific experiment, it's not really scientific, but we're trying to be scientific about what we believe causes the things in our lives, right? So the things that happen quickly, we don't get enough time to digest them to really have a better workable answer for what's causing them. But if something takes 5 years, 10 years, you really get to have a sense of, okay, I did this here, and 12 months later, that happened. I talked to that person, and 8 months later, this happened. You really start to make those connections. So slower is ultimately better. And then I'll say, as far as the generation, I think people just don't know how long things take because people don't talk about what they're working on when they start it. They usually talk about it when it's become clear that it will succeed. So, and at that point, they're a few years from the finish line. So, but if someone started a business today, you're on social media. If you look at social media and things like that, many of the quote unquote gurus, we only hear about them after they're successful. We don't get to hear about them when they're starting because they're busy working. So they're not talking. So I think many times when we think something didn't take a long time, we have the clock wrong in terms of when they actually started it. They actually started it a lot earlier than we think. It's just, we weren't aware of that. And we just kind of make up our minds on it. And there's also a culture of a lot of people who want you to believe that you can do everything they can do. And I don't want to stress this out, but I want to say this because I think it's very important. I think that very successful people are either humble or dishonest.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm not going to say which one in each case, but they're either humble or dishonest.
Okay.
If they are humble, they underestimate how hard they have worked, what they had in terms of, luck, parents, connections. They underestimate a lot of things if they're humble. And so they want you to believe you can do what they've done, because they really do believe that, but that's because they underestimate what they've done. Or they're dishonest, and I'm not going to say what percentages, they're dishonest in the sense that they know those things, but they don't want to say that because they don't want you to think that they don't deserve what they have, right? So if you start out your business, if you get a record deal or something like that, because, your best friend from high school starts a record label and the record label becomes successful, you may not ever say that this is someone you've known since you were a kid, right? My point is, people may never say that. Mm-hmm. But that's very important if you're trying to tell someone the true story of how comfortable somebody has to be with another person to give them this kind of opportunity, right? That's a big piece of information. But I think a lot of people, they want to believe that anybody can achieve what they've achieved. So they miss that. And then you have the other people who maybe they're trying to sell you a program of how you can get to where they are. And so they just completely skip those things because they don't want you to think, oh yeah, she's just successful because she knows somebody. That's one of the easiest ways to completely kill somebody's credibility, or at least attempt to kill credibility, is to say, oh, they just made it because they know somebody.
You bring that up. I'm not saying that this program is the case for it when I say this, but the Rich Dad, Poor Dad program, Robert Kiyosaki.
I'm familiar with that.
The real estate investing programs. A lot of times, people go to those and think, okay, why am I not able to do what they have done? But he talks about, he had the rich dad, and with that rich dad, there was connections that he made and opportunities that.
Oh, he does talk about that?
Well, he talks about the rich dad in his book.
Okay.
So,
okay, I meant the connections.
No, he doesn't talk about the connections.
Yeah.
But one would have to think about, okay, so this man has connections in the world, and things like that.
Yeah.
And we all have the ability to make connections with people and build relationships and things like that to grow us in different ways. However, I think it's something to say about the slow growth, because it may take generations of relationship building to acquire, a certain level of achievement.
It's a my thing, it's a vibe, it's a my thing, it's a vibe.